Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with my next Pan Those Eyeshadows update. I'm very excited to share with you where I am with all of my products, but if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's just jump into the video. So just to recap the rules, I'm currently working on 4 eyeshadows at any point in time. Previous years when I've done this, I think this is my 4th year doing this. I have been working on 5 eyeshadows at each time, but since I'm this year doing a few more eyeshadow projects, I am doing my project level up, which is more focused rather than this project. I wanted to lower it to 4, and that is going pretty well for me. It means that I can rotate through all of the shades and not feel too overwhelmed. Another rule that I introduced this year is that I am allowing myself to have a 15 use kind of border, where if I have used something 15 times, I'm allowed to roll it out. If I want to keep it in and try to pan on it, that's completely fine as well, but it just allows me to roll out some of those shades that are a bit harder to work on, and the ones that I know will take like 25 plus uses to pan on, and also kind of to get used out of my indie shadows and things like that without necessarily hitting pans. So that is another rule that I introduced this year, but otherwise this project is basically the same. I am, like I said, working on 4 shades this year, so I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into those. So I went ahead and I swatched out my color story for last month. These are the 4 eyeshadows that I was working on, and I have them swatched out in the order they were rolled in. This top one has been in for the longest, which is my eyeshadow in Weld, and this is one of the Cleona multichromes. It's one of the jewel multichromes, and it's such a beautiful shade. You can see like the, I guess, the mauve tone mainly on camera, but it does go into like a green and then also like a bluish purple shift at the very end. I love this shade. It's a stunning eyeshadow, and it's also actually what I'm wearing all over my lids today. Yeah, I don't know how much you can see the shift on camera, but again, it does shift between those shades that I mentioned. But with this one, I used it 6 times as of the last update, and this is what it looked like. This is not one that I was necessarily trying to pan on, because the Cleona eyeshadows are very pigmented. They're very thin. Like the formula is like, especially the jewel multichromes, the formula is very thin, it's very kind of smooth, and you don't need very much to get an opaque finish. So because of that, I just try to be quite gentle with them, and yeah, my plan was never to hit pan on this, but I had 9 more uses to go to hit my 15 uses goal, and I'm happy to say that I did that. And here you have the eyeshadow now. It's, yeah, this definitely looks a bit more used. I don't think I really used this at all before rolling it in. Maybe I used it once, but I have definitely created a slight dip there in the middle, and like I said, I have now used it my 15 times, so this one will be rolling out. I use this eyeshadow, I mean, I'm using it today all over my lid, but mainly for everyday looks I use this as an outer corner shade. I quite liked it as an outer corner shade because it is a bit deeper, but it still had a like shiftedness on the outside of my lid. Another way that I use this is as an eyeliner, or like a smoky kind of lash line color, and then obviously I used it all over my lid a couple times as well, but that's how I got use out of this eyeshadow. And I'm very excited to have this rolling out because it has now been in for 3 months, and that's kind of like my unofficial maximum of how long I am happy to keep things in this project. So I'm happy that I got focused on this one and roll it out. Let's move on to the next shade, which is this kind of peachy shade swatched right here. That is an eyeshadow from my Udens Eye Elva palette, which is this one right here. I was working on the shade Jasmine, which is the first shade in the palette, and this is what it looked like. Last update I had already used this 13 times, but I did say in my last update that I was going to try to hit pan on this and not just use it 15 times. And it actually took me way longer than I thought to hit pan, but I did do that, and this is what it looks like now. It took me an additional 7 times to hit pan, so a total of 20 uses. And I don't know if you can pick up on camera just how deep this dip is. This is like, these eyeshadows are so deep. Like, I think these are probably some of the deepest pans I've ever seen. I actually looked up how big these eyeshadows are, and each eyeshadow is 1.25 grams, which is so much eyeshadows. It's way more than, like, for example, I mean, these are very skinny pans, so I was expecting them to be maybe similar to like Colourpop eyeshadows when it comes to the amount. They are even smaller than the Colourpop palettes, like the pan size width-wise, but they have way more eyeshadow than the Colourpop pans, which means that they are even deeper. So yeah, they are super deep eyeshadow pans, and yeah, I don't know if you can pick that up on camera, but I'm so happy that I pan on it. And in hindsight, I'm pretty happy that I rolled this shade in and not like one of the kind of other mattes, because I think that would have taken a really long time to pan on. I don't know how long the shimmers would have taken, because I don't know how crumbly they are if you use them like loads. But yeah, I'm really happy to have had this shade in. It was a really useful shade to use to like blend out with, like a first transition. I don't really set my eyelid, and if I did, I think this would even have been a bit too deep for that, but it was perfect to use as a blending out shade, like I said, and that's mainly how I used it. So the remaining 2 eyeshadows have now been in for 1 month, so I rolled both these in last month. And the next one is this shimmer shade right here, which comes from my Beauty Bay Nikki Tutorials palette, and that is the shade Underground. So this is obviously what the palette looks like. Like I mentioned, I rolled this in last month, and this is what it looked like then. I had used it, but not very much at all. But I do know that these pans are notoriously thin, and this is what it looks like now. So I think you can see there that I was able to pan. It's a small pan, but it is a pan nevertheless. And I used it 6 times in order to hit pan on that eyeshadow, so not very much. But it is partly because these pans are so shallow. I think you can see it even more in this pan right here, like just how shallow they are. And then also because the shimmer formula in this palette and in lots of Beauty Bay palettes, not all of the shimmer formulas, but majority of them, it's almost like a putty kind of formula. So that means that I move around a bit, and they are quite easy to hit pan on because of that. And I think that's why I hit pan on this in only 6 uses. But I was kind of expecting that. I said in my last update that I was hoping to definitely have this one out, and I did. So yeah, I'm very excited about that, and I'm excited to have another pan in this project and not just roll something out with my 15 uses. So the final shade that I have in this project is this blue shade right here. It's definitely the pop of color in my current color store, as you can see, and that is a Terra Moon shade, and it's one of their singles in the shade Azure Skies. This is what it looked like when I first introduced it. I don't think I've ever used it on my eyes because I got my Terra Moon's order, I think in the beginning of December or end of November, sometime around there. And yeah, I haven't really gone around to using this one because it is more of a spring shade or like a summer shade rather than a winter shade in my opinion. And yeah, that is what it looked like. But this is what the eyeshadow looks like now. I don't know how well you're able to pick up on camera, but I have used it a little bit, and there is a slight dip there in the center, not much at all though. This is a very pigmented shade, but it's also a very powdery shade, so I've had to be very gentle with this. I do really like this eyeshadow, but it is a bit finicky to work with. I have found that it can blend away to nothing if you put it over like a set base, and also if you put it on a wet base, it can deepen around the corners because it kind of oxidizes, or like I guess darkens when it gets a bit damp or like hitting that wet base. So it is a bit finicky to work with, but I can definitely make it work, and it just takes a little bit more time. But with these colors I think that's quite common, especially since this is such a bright shade. I don't know if this is one of their neon mattes or if this is one of their pastel mattes. I think it might be one of the neon mattes because it is super bright, and I don't think it even picks up on camera just how bright it is. But I really like this shade, and I definitely rolled it in at the right time because these kind of bright shades are very fun for spring. And it has been a nice kind of winter to spring shade because I compare it with more kind of cool tones to create like a winter shade look, and also a bit more of those I don't know, like kind of turquoisey, warmer greens and blues to do more of a kind of typical spring look. So I really have been enjoying this, and I paired it with mints, I paired it with, like I said, turquoises, with like silvery blues, and I do really like this. But so far I've only used it 4 times, and I don't think I'll be able to roll this out by next month because I think around 5 uses per month is about where I will sit with this, because it's not something that I can use every single day. I guess I could use this like on my lower lash line, for example, with a neutral look, but I don't really like a blue lower lash line on me. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I foresee this being in for another 2 months, but if I can hit my goal on this by next month, I will try. So here we have my old color story. Like I said, these top 3 are rolling out, and this blue one is the only one staying in. So this is where I'm starting my new color story, and we're just gonna go ahead and randomize 3 numbers. The only rule I have when it comes to randomization is that I don't want anything close to my Panda palette, which is my Modern Renaissance palette. So if I roll anything that is similar to a shade in there, I will go ahead and re-roll. But otherwise, anything goes. And I did actually update my spreadsheet yesterday, so it is completely up to date now. And I do currently have 872 eyeshadows in my collection. So let's go ahead and randomize. So don't mind that number, it's obviously higher than my max anyway. This is from when I filled my whole collection for the pan yesterday. But let's go ahead and pick the first number, which is gonna be 699. Oh, I'm very excited about this shade. It is another of my Cliona eyeshadows, and this is one of their glitter multichromes in the shade Sunbeam. This is a beautiful shade. It's like a pink base with a golden shift in it, and I think this is going to be absolutely perfect for spring and summer, so I'm very excited about this eyeshadow. That is going to be my first shade. The second number is going to be 224. Okay, so I don't think I'm gonna go with this number because it is actually a shade from my Juvia's Place Magic Mini palette, and it is the shade Ife, which I do not have pan on, but I am actually working on this palette in my Project Level Up, and it is also one of the shades that I'm currently focused on to hit pan on, so I'm not gonna roll this in because I don't want to be double dipping, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick a new number, which is gonna be 24, which should definitely be one of my Anastasia palettes, so let's see which one that is. Okay, so that is a shade from my Anastasia Soft Glam palette, and it is the shade Burnt Orange, and that is something that I can't use because obviously, you know, Burnt Orange is both in the Soft Glam palette as well as the Modern Renaissance palette, and I'm panning the Modern Renaissance palette, so it's exactly the same shade, and I don't want to roll that in because I'm currently working on that shade already. So let's go ahead and pick a new number, and we get 597. Okay, so we got a Colourpop shade, and this is, I think, one of their press glitters in the shade Castaway, so that should be fine. I'm not working on any press glitters, and I don't really mind working on them. It's definitely stuff that I'm happy to incorporate, so that is going to be the second shade. Then the very fair enough eyeshadow would be number 685, which would be another single, and it is actually another one of my Cliona eyeshadows. I'm getting loads of use out of those in this project, which is fun, but I also it's shades that I'm not really gonna try to pan on, so it is a bit more boring for you guys to watch, but it's fun for me to incorporate them. And this is in the shade Tower, which is one of their pastel multichromes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my 3 new shades, and I will be right back. So here we have my new color story. You can see all of the shades. Let's go through them in order, and the first one is Sunbeam right here. Like I said, it is like a pink base with a gold and a green shift, and it's so stunning. I love this eyeshadow, and I think again it's going to be perfect for spring. And there you have Sunbeam at the moment. I do have a little bit of use on it, but not too much, and my goal with this would probably be to hit 15 uses rather than to hit pan on it, similarly to the shade Weld, also from Cliona. Next to that we have the pressed glitter in Castaway from Colourpop. You can see the swatch there, but it didn't really adhere the best on my hand. I think this will definitely work best with a glitter glue, but I do have the swatch left on my finger, so you can probably see it a bit better there. And that is the shade Castaway, and I think with this one I probably will be able to hit pan on it because it is a pressed glitter, and I feel like those are easier to hit pan on. I will probably use it on my eyes, but also on my nails, as like an accent or something like that, so I definitely think I should be able to hit pan on that. And this is what Castaway looks like at the moment. I don't have too much use on it. I don't even know if I have reused this. I think I have maybe once or twice, but yeah, this is basically untouched, and that is what it looks like. Then lastly we have the shade Tower from Cliona. This is one of their pastel multichromes, and it is a bit more subtle when it comes to like a multichrome, but it's definitely one that I can incorporate a bit easier because of that. And this is currently what Tower looks like. I definitely haven't used this because this one came in my last Cliona eyeshadow order, and this is just one of the shades that I haven't had time to reach for yet. And I think all of these will go pretty well together. Maybe Sunbeam is a bit of the outlier in this color story because it does have like a pink base and like a green shift, but I don't think that wouldn't go with, like, for example, this blue. So I'm very excited about that, and it's a really nice kind of lighter spring tone color story compared to what I had before. So I'm very excited. But before I wrap up this video, let me just go through some of the looks that I did in the past month, and yeah, that's gonna be it for today. So let's start with this look right here. This is a kind of bluish look that I did quite recently. I am using obviously the blue shade, which is Azure Skies from Terra Moon, in my crease, and I kind of mixed that with a little bit of more of a grey tone, used to tone it down a tiny bit. Then on my outer corner I'm wearing a really deep kind of tealish like blackened shade. I used to deepen out the outer corner. On my lid I am wearing a shade from my Magic Mini palette. I can't remember what the shade name is, but it's like a turquoise shade in there. And then on my inner corner I'm wearing, or like the inner lid, I'm wearing the shade Lineage from Cliona, which is the multichrome, and it's like minty turquoise with a pink shift, and that's kind of this first look. I really love this. It's a very kind of, this is like a way that I use this blue a bit more subtly, because I mean it's definitely colorful, but it's a bit more toned down than some of the other looks that I did, including this blue. Next up, I just want to include a picture of how I used weld on my outer corners. So you can see right here, in this look you can definitely see the green shifting well, so that is kind of the green part of my lid that you can see. And then I paired it with the shade Underground, which is this shade right here. That is what I'm wearing on my actual lid. Then on my outer corner and for the mattes, I'm using a couple shades from my Modern Renaissance palette. I think I'm wearing Venetian Red and Bone Fresco, I believe, maybe some other shades as well mixed in, but I think that is what I'm wearing in this look. Next up, you can definitely see a look where I used blue in more of a colorful way. So in this look, I packed it on all over my crease, and then in my outer corner I used a deep blue from the Magic Mini palette again, which is my Product Level Up palette, so that I'm used the blue shade that is the last shade in the palette. I think it's called Jajide, and I used that on my outer corner and used to deepen up that blue. Then on my lid I am wearing, I believe I'm wearing the shade Tempting from my Blueberry Muffin palette, which is one I'm panning. And then on the inner part of my lid, I can't remember what shade it is. I think it might be one of the Cleona Iridescent shades, which is, like I said, what I'm wearing on my inner half of my lid, and I believe that is all of the shades that I'm wearing in this look. I really love this. It's like a blue smoky eye, and I do think blue suits me quite well, so it has been fun playing around with Azure Skies. But yeah, this is a way that I can make it a bit more blue rather than turquoise, which it looks like here. Next up, we have another look where I used Azure Skies. I thought that these are the more fun looks, so that's why I'm including them. And in this look, you can obviously see that I'm wearing this on my kind of inner crease and inner part of my lid, and then on top of that part of my lid I am wearing the shade Lineage again, which is that same kind of minty turquoise to pink duochrome. Also, don't mind the lashes coming off in this look. I filmed like 3 videos, I think, back to back, and the lashes just gave in. But on the center of my lid I am wearing another Cleona White Multichrome, and that is the shade Majesty, which is one of the vibrant Multichromes, which is like an orange with a yellow and green shift. And then on the outer corner I'm wearing some kind of warm tone mattes from my Panda palette, as well as my Product Level Up palette, so my Modern Renaissance and my Magic Mini palette. And I really love how this came out. I love the kind of really warm outer corner and that kind of cool toned inner corner, and yeah, I just loved this look. And that is actually the last look that I have to share with you, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you think of my new color story versus my old one. I am so much happier with this one. It definitely changed up the whole color story, and this one was quite wintry. I mean, we had a peachy shade right here, but we had 2 really deep shades and then obviously like a blue, but this color story right here is definitely more spring to me, so I'm very excited to have these in. And I think these are all going to be shades that are quite easy to reach for. Obviously the blue that I'm rolling over is probably going to be the most difficult to incorporate, but I am very excited about this color story, so let me know what you think of it. And otherwise, I really hope you're having a lovely day, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys!